I'm going to introduce the moderator to you. He is the most amazing person that I have the privilege to know for the last 30 years. I don't know if our names have given it away, but he is my business partner and my life partner. He is my husband. So let me formally introduce you to him. Upendra Giri is 3 times #1 international bestseller with over 30 years of experience in civil and environmental engineering. He's an impactful ESG changemaker, investor climate tech, startup advisor, and chairman of Padam Leela Trust for Social Impact. Sustainability is the foundation of his work, having helped small and large enterprises influence change and build talent while monetizing opportunities for project management practices across corporations and governmental agencies globally. He established the PMI North India chapter and received the prestigious Eric Jennett Award by PMI in 2009. And I would like to add that he was the youngest one to receive that award and the only Indian at that time. So welcome, Upendra. Thank you so much for joining.
Wonderful, Seema. Thank you so much. So, folks, we have very exciting panel. You can see that this summit had been, that started actually, the Cedar Summit started when COVID started actually, but Seema had been doing and leveraging the power of technology where we could reach out to people at large across the globe. So on this call today, far east to far west, we are sitting in California, right here in Silicon Valley, and I'm sure there are a lot of people joining us from, as far as you can go, especially, we have the panelists, which I would like to introduce one by one, and it's going to be very, very interactive session. And the panelists are, so panel, of course, is the power of passion. So let me introduce formally. This panel is very, very exciting because we have somebody, the reformer, the policymaker, the person who implements policy at a national level for country, which is one of the biggest populations on the planet today. So we are very excited to have Dr. G.K. Goswami, who happens to be my cousin also, by the way. So I got to know him in last couple of years very closely and got to understand his work. So Dr. G.K. Goswami is highly accomplished individual who's a genius at mind, but he's a right brain person, I would say. So he's trying to bring the right brain and left brain together to bring a transformation in the world. And he joined Indian Police Services, which is most acclaimed the police officer could be, if you could think, especially in the terms of running the country. So he had joined the Indian Police Services in 1997, and he was chief for anti-terrorist squad for Uttar Pradesh, the biggest state in the country. And then he was joint director of CBI. It's one of the most reputed, investigation agencies in the world. And of course, he's been given a very interesting task today to set up a forensic institute so that they can curb down the crime and corruption in the country. So he chartered to do something very magical work. So we are proud of him, and nation is proud of him. And I'm really proud that we are doing this session together today. In the line, we have Caroline. Caroline, wonderful. Thank you. I spoke to you briefly, and she's dedicated to save this planet. So there are two people on this session, by the way. And I resonated with her very well because she's a tree hugger, and I'm a tree hugger myself. So Caroline is committed, utterly dedicated to saving the planet using her real estate license. She has had senior positions in entertainment. That's very interesting because she comes from acting in the movies and television shows. And with her husband, this is what I heard, Both of you guys are rock stars, and she has served on environmental committee of Sonoma County Alliance, the Climate Action 2020 Stakeholders Advisory Group, and she's the past president of Board of Trustees for Petaluma Community Foundation. She's a proud realtor, eco broker, and certified green professional. I love everything we talk about. It's all about green, by the way. So we're gonna hear from her story that how she's able to bring making money, of course, in Silicon Valley, and then sustaining the planet, of course. So that is going to be very exciting. And the third one is very interesting. The third panelist is I been interacting with her for last couple of years. Xuan Lim. Xuan Lim is based out of Silicon Valley. She is an inspiring force in the world of graphic and the web consultancy, providing invaluable services and solutions through her company called imartconsultant.com. So I revealed your website now, right? So people can go and check it out, right? A 3-time recipient of prestigious certified web center trainer of the year in 2009, 2019, and 2021. So not only what she does digitally, but she's an artist at heart. And she has been promoting her father's work by traveling to different parts of the world. And her father was a phenomenal artist, and she travels across the globe, and she teaches, shares her wisdom and the work her father has done in the past. So I think I got a wonderful opportunity to be among these wonderful panelists, and I'm gonna walk away with a lot of wisdom. So you guys ready? Wonderful. I'm gonna go straight to Caroline first. I know that you had been an actor, actress, and then working in very diversified background. So in 2 minutes, who can summarize who Caroline is today and which direction she's heading? 2 minutes.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I came a moment late because I was busy writing down a bunch of notes from Katarina's talk. So she's definitely sending me on my journey, and I'm no longer getting ready to get ready to be ready.
Okay.
I like to say if you lose enough jobs, you get a great resume, and mine is particularly impressive. I certainly have, and I've had many jobs, and I was an actress and a stand-up comedian, but I also ran a movie studio. I actually built and ran the first new movie studio to be built in Hollywood in 75 years. And I was there during their first 2 years. When I started, it was 50 people in a trailer on the back lot of another studio. When I left 2 years later, it was 1,500 people in 9 different facilities, and we had already broken ground on what was going to be a permanent animation facility. And I learned more then than I did in my entire master's. And I have a master's in directing for theater, film, and television, which is why I own a commercial real estate company today. And I had a seminal moment in one of these jobs where I was working in a high-rise in San Francisco the day the Costco Busan hit the Bay Bridge. And if any of you you may remember that, it was several years back. And I remember watching that ship sit in the bay, kind of leaning over, dumping millions of gallons of oil just into the bay. And I had been impressed before watching that particular view of how much commerce comes in and out of the San Francisco Bay. It's the gateway to South America, it's the gateway to Asia, and in some cases, Eastern Europe. So probably hundreds of ships a day loaded down with all kinds of cargo come in and out of that bay. And I watched those ships continue to come in and out of that bay, even as the oil was pouring out. And I remember thinking, if I had dropped a bottle of olive oil at my front door when I was bringing in my groceries, I would stop. I would prevent anybody from coming in or out. I would clean it up, and then I would let people continue to come in and out. And what I realized at that moment was that there was no mechanism to do that in the San Francisco Bay. And I started to think about how, as humans, we put ourselves above plants and animals and all else. But then I realized that we have now put commerce above humanity and above all else. And commerce is a completely human construct. Money's not even a real thing. And it was that at that moment, I realized I want to use my business as a force for good. So I'm looking every day to green every property that we touch and create, and knowing that the greenest buildings are the ones that are already built, and that every building is in a community and in an ecosystem. And there's a term in real estate called highest and best use. And I decided to, which actually means squeezing every last dollar out of every square foot of building. Right. However, I was going to take highest and best use literally and find a way to do that in my business.
Wonderful, Carolyn. What a beautiful way to give the perspective, especially when it comes to when we try to connect our purpose of being on the planet and then looking after that Mother Earth, right? Great, wonderful, getting this insight. I would like to move on to my brother, my cousin, who's genius. We look up to him right from childhood when I was like 3-4 years old, by the way. I met him 3-4 years when I was 3-4 years old. Then I met him about when I was like 45. Can you believe this? You know, and it was a coincidence that we met right after attack happened in Bombay, blast happened, and then all police chiefs were asked to come together. I think Obama was taking oath that day when I met you. Obama was taking the oath that day, and we were put on a big screen in somewhere in eastern part of India. And that's where I reconnected with you. And I could not believe that I'm going to meet under those circumstances. And today I'm meeting with you again, which it's hard to believe that, you know, you're sitting in so far away and I'm connecting with you. So question to you would be that I know that you have written a book. Actually, you were part of, we were co-author in a book, actually, The Power of You. You know, and I know that there was I wanted to get a gist of that experience which you went through, especially what work you guys are going through as a policeman, you know, and what thoughts you were going through, which you summarized in the book. So if you can give a gist of that in a few minutes, that would be wonderful.
Upendra and Seema and all the panelists, the audience, it's my great privilege to be with you. In fact, I just landed and I was worried that many times the flights get delayed, but luckily I reach well in time, and that's what made me to join this August gathering. Indeed, the pleasure is all mine to be here, and I congratulate the entire team, especially my brother Upendra, Bhavi also. And as he rightly mentioned, that our meetings were, although were very long delayed and all, but as you know, that destiny sometimes has its own course, and it happened with us. Last year, almost at the same time in May, I was with him when I visited US for about 8 months for Fulbright Fellowship, and it was a mind-boggling experience. I will share a little bit about that also. But as he mentioned about what I observed during COVID pandemic as a policeman, serving with a very huge population. We have nearly 250 million people in my own state. So that time was very great panic all around. But being police, we have to be frontline warriors. We have to save people from different angles. We have to manage their travel, their food, and so many, sometimes there are disputes also for various regions and all. So I have seen, especially the policemen on road meeting a lot of people. The family members were very scared because I was told that don't meet people because it is a communicable disease and all. So what I observed was that how this COVID pandemic gave so many good things to you. All the negative part may be not many people are aware, lot of loss of life, so many adversaries. But the best part which I could gather was the compassion. Compassion about not only the people who were around in any society, not only a country, but across globe. People have a lot of coordination. That was number one, that compassion was all around, which made us strengthening our willpower. Number two was that how to react such a situation, because this generation has never faced such situation. Probably earlier pandemic of this magnitude was somewhere in 1920, but that was never been across the globe. I think it is the single pandemic which was across the globe. I think no area was untouched. So it brought to think people that how we can combat such type of scenario. And in a very limited time, vaccines were invented where it takes decades and decades to invent. So how to speed up your research, your inventions and all is another take. So what you can say that necessity is the mother of invention. That is another point which I can mention. And the human being has superpower, although artificial intelligence and other things people says, but I think the ultimate, the intelligence lies with the human mind. AI is the brainchild of human beings, right? So that is part two, which I want to mention. The most important thing is the communication. Probably the latest communication setups, we are talking on Zoom and other things. I think this is the biggest, invention, biggest contribution of your pandemic and all. So it has brought really the village type of scenario to the entire globe. The point which I want to make is that if we consider this entire globe a village, a unit of human living, as you rightly mentioned about the environmental issues, the individual and the societal interests should come together. Then we can live with brotherhood without having conflicts, and how to resolve the conflicts also. So I think the power of youth. I have gone through the draft of this book. I find that lot of contribution there, one-to-one experience from different quarters of the globe have been compiled in such a manner that if you just go through it, you get so much of power from inside. The inner strength, how to strengthen yourself. And I think the best part of education is how to strengthen yourself.
Great.
Basically, how to evolve yourself, how to reinvent yourself. So this pandemic and this entire exercise basically was how to reinvent ourselves. I think. Thank you.
Wonderful.
For giving me.
So what I could hear, the compassion, the purpose of being, the global village, we are all in together. It's not that, it's one for one community or for one country. I think everything came on, I think if I were to look at, brighter side of it, So the spirituality and seed of compassion, there could not be a better timing what the world is going through right now. So I was recently part of a Thai global conference which happened last couple of days back, in Silicon Valley. So I had a pleasure of interacting with people like next door from Ancestry, their CEOs, and all great leaders, and everybody is talking about humanity, community, compassion, well-being. All great soft things are coming in the perspective these days. So right brain tends to evolve much more than your left brain today. This is how I see it. Wonderful. Well, as we move on, I have pleasure of moderating panel in past, which one Lim we were together in our previous book that was Art of Leadership, and we are again together on the power of you. So, Sven, you are right here in Silicon Valley, but you go across the globe a few times, Asia Pac and that part of the world. How do you see how had been the total experience of getting your story out? Because a lot of people ask me this question that, since this is your second book, right? So a lot of times, each one of us has a very inspiring story. All of us, because we breathe, we live, and that's the only truth in the world. And when we breathe, we act, we create history. But then, do we share that with our people? So I wanted to get your perspective about, you have written probably 3 books already, is it?
Yeah, this
So why
is the
don't
third
you,
one.
Yeah, this is the third one. So can you share with the audience out there that, every one of us probably thinking that, is it so difficult? It is so cumbersome. I can't do it. It's not me. Can you make it easier for people? I know that you do digital transformation and all that, but how do you transform people's story coming in real life? Can you throw some light on this one?
Yes, hi everyone. So nice to be on this panel. In fact, I'm in Hong Kong right now, so I just arrived 2 hours ago. Do I still look okay?
You look awesome.
Yep. So, when my mentor in Singapore asked me to write a book, I look at her like, who's going to read my book? She's like, just do it every day. Just writing your journal. And, like what Katerina is also, the one that just shared, she was also my coach and mentor. So she said the right thing, right? Ready is a myth. You just have to get going. And so I met Seema. And so when I met her and she said, hey, you want to join us? Let's talk. And she said, we're coming up with this book. So the first book is Art of Leadership. I was like, huh. So the topic that I chose was the reluctant leader. I'm always good at helping other people marketing their work and not myself. Introvert, it's surprising, right? But when I work with my client, it's very different because I see them, I see their gift, I see their talent. But then when it comes to myself, I was like, oh, it's okay. But now this is the third book. Amazing. I could never imagine I could do that. But I think hiring a coach is very important. They are the one that see the value in us. So Seema was able to talk to me. And in fact, the title of this, the chapters that I wrote in this book is Traces of Grace. Initially, it was blessing in disguise. When you look at what's happening, you can count a lot of bad things that happens. But when we count blessings, everything changed. Yeah. So we changed the title into Traces of Grace. In fact, a happy person is the one who are thankful, right? Yeah. So the way I end my chapter was, when we change the way we see things, the things we see start to change. Absolutely. So, Apendra, the content in us is that we live every day. This is how we live the dash. I was born in 1966. Dash. I do not know when I will be gone. but how we live the dash, we have a lot of story, but it's up to us to bring up the stories, and we need a coach to help us. So I'm so glad that I worked with Seema, and she was able to give me a few directions. And now that I look at my chapter again, I was like, not bad, but there are still many rooms of improvement. Yeah. So that summarizes,
wonderful.
How I can get started.
Excellent, excellent. So you can see all of us are actually authors here, and all of us are, I believe, Carolyn, you are also in the process of being part of an anthology, and where few people come together, just like, Power of You. But you have a solo book also coming up, right? So my question to you would be, how do you see your this tool, or your this called the tool which you are working on to get your message out? I believe that you are doing a lot of speaking across the globe. Could you give some perspective that what is your message, and what is the ultimate goal, so that people can look up to you? And I would definitely, by the way, Seema and I already have discussed that next week we are going to be in your area, so we plan on being there, so because you live close to Napa Valley, we're gonna have few wines and stuff and have good time, right? Next time when GK Goswami, my cousin, is in the valley, we'll take him for wine tasting, probably. Great.
Well, I'm very fortunate to live in wine country, and as it happens, I have a nephew that owns 2 wineries.
Great.
And one of the things that happened for my husband and I during the pandemic is we just turned and looked at each other and said, okay, we're drinking the good wine now. And so we just opened up our wine cellar, and we would have the good bottles of wine, which we realized that what are we saving it all for? That life can be a celebration every day. And my solo book is it's about business, but it's about joy. I know Katerina talks a lot about blissing in her business. But my book is all about choosing joy in every area of your lives. I raised 2 special needs children, and one of the things that I talked about with them as they were getting to be the authors of their own lives is, do you want people to feel sorry for you, or do you want people to be happy for you? And if you want people to be happy for you, you have to be happy for yourself, and you have to not be feeling sorry for yourself. There is plenty in this difficult world to despair over, to rage over, and to feel upset and hopeless about. There is also plenty in this life, every minute of every day, to feel joyful and grateful and happy for. And you get to choose the kind of life you want to have, because it's not about what happens to you or what happens in the world. It's about what choices are you making to react to that. I live in wine country, and no matter what else is going on in the world, when I drive around, and I every day I say to myself, look where I get to live. Look at how beautiful this is. There's something that I pass every day, and it's a miniature horse farm. And in the early mornings, the fog comes in and it settles on the ground, and then the sun comes up, and there's a vineyard, and there's fog on the ground, and there's these little miniature horses, frolicking. And and to be able to look at that and go, this is real. This is a real, beautiful, wonderful thing. And look at this planet that we get to live on. And to our knowledge, there is no other planet like ours that is just abundant with life and water and color and beauty. And so I always stop and think, whatever this challenge is or obstacle is that I am stressing over now, if I were to die tomorrow, would it mean anything? After I die, are people going to say, oh, but at least she won that argument? Or at least she was right about this or that? That's so unimportant in terms of the overall arc of your life. And if it's not going to be important the day you die, it's not important every day you're living.
Right. Wonderful. Carolyn, it reminds of that. So live in the present. That's what the focus of your entire discussion is. I was in India almost for 3 months, and my last 2 weeks were transformative. I went through this concept called Vipassana. Vipassana is where you go for 10 days in silence. So you don't have access to phone, newspaper, television, media. You can't even do the eye-to-eye connect with other person for 10 days. So my daughter and my son, they were shocked that this guy, how can he be without a phone for even a second? The guy who cannot be away from a phone for a second is away from the phone for 10 and a half days. They could not believe this. It was just incredible experience. So living in the moment, living the present, and I think that's what it is. So what comes to my mind is that you are born at least 2 times, in my opinion. When, of course, everybody knows your birthday, you are born, everybody celebrates that. Mine is 26th January. That's an important day in India. Of course, most people celebrate it because this is when Constitution of India was implemented, actually. So that's one day. But there's another day when you find out why you are on this planet, purpose of being. Coming to this interesting thought, I had long conversation with my cousin, Dr. G.K. Goswami, when he was here. And, we traveled like 2 weeks, we were together, and he was in a Bright Fellow Flex Nehru awardee, and he was at Cornell, and we were in between going to Berkeley, to Stanford, to a lot of education institutions right here in Silicon Valley. We went to down south in LA and then San Diego. We spent a lot of quality time. After he landed in India, he was asked to do a massive transformation for the country, by the way. So they are setting up a university or institution where he's responsible for creating history for India. I wanted to get where do you get all these inspirations and then courage for this massive undertaking? So could you give us some perspective so that I get a little inspired to that?
The point remains, basically, if you are a learner all the time, right? If you have some kind of zeal to learn, I think that make you to be a student all the time. And I always believe that if you have quest for your query, because everybody has some kind of questions, issues, right? As you were saying that why I am on this planet and all. So if you keep learning, I think that is the way of growth. And despite me in the police, basically it always inspired me that how to find better solutions, because there is no best. It means that you have always to strive towards excellence. And the institute which you are mentioning, basically I just want to share one thought, that we generally talk about scientific temper, like logical thinking and all. Because I was working in for an integrated with law. So I developed a thought which I like to share. I don't know it approved, but this is a very good forum. So let me just try whether you accept it or is something for better. So what I believe that means to find something truth. You know, truth is the basis of justice. And I believe that whatever good life, even the top of the person, maybe the president of India, president of US, great you may think, if he or she feels that I have some kind of injustice, that is the most hurting point in life. So what I believe that whenever you get any opportunity, and everybody get opportunity, even if you are dealing with a child in your family, even then you can do justice. I think if we take a kind of understanding that no, we will not do injustice to anybody, that will be, I think, a very that is point one I want to make. So justice should remain in our thought process. One point. Let me connect justice with forensic science. So I believe that we say that we should think logically, we should think scientifically and all. I would say that we should think forensically. How? Forensic means to reach out to truth, basically. The purpose of entire forensic science is to reach out truth. And I don't think that whosoever, and we are all here, does anybody say that we do not want to be truthful? We do not want to quest for truth. So if we have that forensic thought process, forensic means to reach out. If we develop that kind of thought process, I think the society will benefit. And if you have that kind of thought process, you will not do injustice to anybody. Do not do injustice to anybody. That will be the greatest service to the nation, to the to the humanity and all. Whether it is environment, whether it is your human being, whether it is wildlife, whatsoever the planet. So take a call that avoid doing miscarriage of justice to anybody, whatsoever way. I think that's what I want to make out. Thank you.
The base for the existence of ourself is only one single thing, that's truth. And you and I are breathing, that's the only truth in the world. And if we can come close to that, I think that's the so
that is the logic of life.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. And then I would like to throw this thing, I think the time is coming to that, it's around the time where we are slotted. It's like, I wish we could continue this. I would like to hear from you to how do we live authentically? What is the one single word which comes in your perspective without even thinking? Just one word, each one of you guys. Xuan Lim, the one word which comes to you when it talks about living your purpose, why you are here, and for personal development. Just one word. What comes to your mind?
Integrity.
Integrity. Wonderful. So integrity is, of course, for Xuan Lim. GK Vaisam, what comes to your mind? One word.
Yeah, it is justice and compassion.
Justice and compassion. Wonderful. Justice. So if I put it just one word, it would be justice then, or compassion.
Justice, yes.
Justice is wonderful. Great. Carolyn.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Wonderful. Great. Yeah, wonderful. So I would like to summarize what you guys just said, that world is looking for the hope, which is futuristic, which is in the future. We look at past, forgiveness, forget and forgive what happened in the past. Don't linger it for too long. Have gratefulness to the biggest power in the world. Be grateful. And below us, because there is a lot of recipient for what we have to offer, have compassion for all of them. So this summarizes all four of us on this panel, 4 things. Hope, forgiveness for the past, gratitude up there, and compassion for people who we can create life in people's life, people at large. Thank you so much, every one of you. You guys did an amazing job. I know there was some disturbance, from connection. I could hear from GK myself a little bit, but you being there, this is awesome, incredible. We should be continuing. By the way, just wanted to announce this on this platform that we are about to launch a platform called thebigcircle.org. So that's what, sustainability and all that. I will reach out to each one of you and see how can we collaborate to save the planet. So we are part of this group. We are part of this circle called Big Circle to save the biggest circle. Thank you so much.